Well, I told Susan that I was going to be interviewing you today because I wanted to give her the opportunity to pass along any insider information she might have about you. She did have some stuff, and she says she doubts you'll remember any of it. I'm thinking a lot of it's from a long time ago, but we'll see. We'll give it a try.
All right.
Now, the first thing she mentioned was being infatuated with the movie Camelot when she was still a kid and having to beg every adult she knew to take her to see it. Apparently, it was like her Star Wars. Seeing it once wasn't enough. She had to see it multiple times. This was in that New York City period. She claims that you were one of the few, who would give in to her demands and take her to see that movie. Do you remember doing that?
No.
Yeah, she said you didn't.
Absolutely not.
Well, we're not talking about yesterday. This is many decades
I
ago.
don't remember that at all.
Okay.
I've never seen that movie. I'll tell you right now.
I believe you. She also talks about the L.A. period, and she said that she used to climb into this particular tree to get your attention, and then she'd pretend she couldn't get down without your help. You remember that one?
What, at their place, over there at their place?
I think it was Bill's. You'd come and hang out with Bill, and he'd get all your attention, and she'd want to get your attention. So she'd climb up in this avocado tree, and when you walked past or came within visual or earshot or something, she'd ask you for your help.
Oh, I don't remember that, but that's adorable.
Okay. And then she says there was a situation, in the mid-'70s, I guess, or sometime in the 70s. She was hitchhiking, and of all the people to drive by, in her words, to her surprise and dismay, you happened to be the one who drive by, saw her, picked her up, and then just gave her grief about hitchhiking all the way to her destination.
That sounds right.
Yeah, okay, that one sounds...
That sounds right, yeah.
That's just how it goes. It's like a sitcom moment where you go, oh boy, we're going to hitchhike to the Kiss concert. Oh, here comes my mom and the station.
Exactly, yeah.
She also said, on a professional level, she really appreciated the times you'd help her out. She specifically mentioned that Heather Says song. She implies she was like 10 or 11 when you wrote it, and you kind of wrote it for her.
Well, like I said, Judy wrote that song. Judy
Okay.
Pulver wrote that song, but I know Susan loved it. And like I said, it's a bizarre tune. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I listened to that, and I'm scratching my head going, we wrote this? Well, how sophisticated are we? I mean, that is really...
Yeah, it's
there's
different.
a lot of stuff going on in that tune. And I credit Judy for most. Like I said, I think maybe I helped her finish the composition somehow, but pretty much that was Judy, really.
Yeah, she kind of implied it was both of you, and it sounds like Judy took the lead and you helped finish it off. But yeah, I had heard the Psycho Sisters version from just a couple years ago with Vicki Peterson, and even that is a trip.
Yeah, it's really good. I really liked it because Susan told me when they did it and sent it to me, and I heard it.
Yeah.
But it just happened. I was in England a couple months ago, and I was just sitting around, middle of the night, wishing I was asleep, but I wasn't. So I was on YouTube looking at, finding stuff, Beach Boys solo things, and anything I could find. And all of a sudden, I stumbled on that version, Cowsill doing Heather Says, and it's unbelievably clean. That's all I can say. It's so clear and so well sung.
Yeah.
It's incredible. They're amazing. And you think back to when they did Hair.
Yeah.
They're serious singers, these kids.
Yeah, and I asked her when I interviewed her, if they tracked the vocals simultaneously. And in the earlier sessions, they always did. And she said sometimes it'd be a problem because, 4 or 5 of them would nail it, and one person would be a little bit off.
Right.
And they'd all have to do it again.
Exactly.
I know you've also been involved with some of her, latter-day solo albums, too, which are nice. But the main thing she wanted to express was how she thinks of you as a big brother, And at first glance, you think, really, 6 big brothers isn't enough for you? But, when you think about it, sadly, 3 of them are gone now.
That's right.
Bill and Barry passed away before I interviewed her, and then since I've interviewed her, Richard has passed away. So you're definitely an important figure in her life, and she wanted me to convey, how she loves you like a brother.
Oh, well, I feel the same about her. It's like I took up their side of life when I met them all, and I saw the situation and predicament they were in. It was appalling.
Yeah, and she also wanted me to ask if you would take her to see Camelot this weekend, because otherwise,
no.
Otherwise she's going to have to hitchhike.
She can hitchhike. I ain't going to see that movie no matter who's going.
I've never seen it either. Yeah. It's interesting she keyed on that one of all movies.
Yeah, really.
Well, as big a deal as the Cowsills were in the 60s, I'm sure even they will concede that when it comes to musical icons of the 60s, this next act is probably a slightly bigger deal. I'm talking about the Rolling Stones.
That would be them.
And your friendship and ongoing working relationship with their guitarist, Keith Richards, via his Expensive Winos side project. I know he has a new solo album coming out, which we'll get to in a minute. But first, let's take it back to your work on his Talk is Cheap album in the late 80s. I was wondering if you might be willing to tell us the Pink Lighter story.
Yeah, the Pink Lighter story. Well, actually, Pink Lighter story was off the next record, the Main Offender record. And it was at the end of a long process. And at one point during the record, his manager, Jane, said to us, "We need to be done with this record in 5 weeks." And we just said, "Oh, okay, sure, fine." Needless to say, most of it wasn't written yet, but tracks were laid down. But we said, okay. And then when she walked away, I looked at Keith, and I had this little pink Bic lighter. And I said, Keith, these lighters, they last about 5 weeks. So when this lighter runs out, we've got to be done. He goes, cool, all right, man, cool. I said, okay. So then from then on, whenever someone was in the studio with us, or if someone wanted a cigarette, I'd always pull the lighter out and light a cigarette for him. I'd always notice Keith be looking at me, looking across the room even to see if there was still the pink lighter. Pink lighter became this thing, it was a symbol of we needed to be finished when that lighter ended.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, about 2 weeks later, that lighter died, and I bought another one.
Yeah.
And kept lighting cigarettes, and Keith kept eyeing me, and now months have gone by, and the lighter's still cranking, and we're now mixing and stuff, and my wife had come to visit in the city, and I said, honey, what I want you to do, please go out and find every little pink Bic lighter you can find.
Mm-hmm.
I have a concept I'm working on here, and I need to do it. So find me, I just want to have a pocket full of these things. So we got into the mixes, and still the same thing. I pull out that lighter, Keith'd be looking at me no matter where we were. And finally, we got to the last tune, the last mix, and it's a song called "Demon in Me." It's very, very pretty and really very emotional moment for us all, and it was a lovely, lovely moment. And I'm still, for the last 5 days, I've been coming to the studio every day with this pocket full of lighters.
Yeah.
And finally, it was like, that was the moment. Demon in Me was mixed. We just listened to the playback. The album was finished. He sat back. He took out a cigarette. I said, oh, let me light that for you. And I reached in, I grabbed all these lighters. And as I went to light his cigarette, all these, 25 pink lighters hit the deck. And he goes, you motherfucker. Oh, no, I knew something was going on. Yeah, man. It was just classic.
It's great, and I love how, the implication that he was solely relying on the lighter to keep track of time, as if there's no calendars around to tell him
exactly, yeah.
how long he's been
all down
working.
to that lighter. It was great.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love that story. So, I'm sure he's aware of this reputation he has for indestructibility. In your experience, does he have a good sense of humor about that? Because I would assume so.
He's got a good sense of humor, period. He's a tremendous guy. I mean, he's a lovely, lovely man, down-to-earth human being, serious musician, serious lyricist, the vocabulary, both him and Mick. I mean, these guys are the most well-read people you'll ever meet.
Right, that's what everybody says, who comes across him, is that the image that people have of him is so different from what he really is. He's intelligent, and he's super nice. And, when I always think of, man, is it's been a long time since I saw this, but I know Keith was pushing hard for the members of Chuck Berry's band to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. He wanted this piano player to be acknowledged. I guess the guy had stopped recording music, and he was, driving a bus or something. And, Keith had gone and found him and got him this acknowledgement. And I just kind of remember this guy, giving the speech, not a polished kind of thing, a very from the heart kind of,
Oh, yeah.
and, he mentioned Keith and how much I'm almost tearing up just saying it. And this was years ago. I saw it in Keith's reaction, how much he appreciated Keith doing that for him, how this was the proudest moment of his life.
Oh, it was great. Johnny came out on the Winos tour and played with us.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah, it was really wonderful.
Well, come on, the Rolling Stones, Chuck Berry, they love Chuck Berry, just like McCartney loved Little Richard. So.
Yeah, sure.
And there's two guys like that should get credit. Now, he has a new solo album coming out on September 18th called Cross-Eyed Heart. Where did you guys record that one?
It was all done in New York at Germano's studio. I think it was pretty much all done there. I'm not sure, because I overdubbed on this record. I didn't.
Okay.
I wasn't involved in the tracking of the tunes. I went to New York and overdubbed my stuff, and then I did some more stuff from my house here.
Okay. Well, even though the entire album hasn't quite been released yet, the day we're recording this, the day this airs is going to be much closer. Might even be past that date. We don't know yet. But one of the tracks came out in July, and as you'd expect from Keith, it's some good time, guitar-centric rock and roll. The name of the song is Trouble, which is something every Rolling Stone knows a thing or two about. Sure. So I want to check that out. Here's the legendary, indestructible Keith Richards, along with his expensive winos, with a new tune called Trouble.
Excellent.
Just because you find yourself off the streets again, that don't mean that I can help you, or I ain't your friend. Maybe trouble is your middle name. The trouble is that that's your game. Now you're out of circulation, out of reach, and out of touch. Let me keep you in the loop, though I can't tell you much. Maybe trouble is your middle name. Trouble is that's your game. Just because I can't see you anymore, that's because, honey, you're doing too to fall. Maybe trouble is your middle name. The trouble is that that's your game. Oh yeah. Just because you find yourself back in jail again, that don't mean we can't connect, you know. I'm still your friend. Maybe trouble is your middle name. The trouble is that's your game. But even though you're still inside, I could get you off the hook. But I know when I get you out, I won't get a second look. Maybe trouble is your middle name. The trouble is that's your game. Trouble. Too much trouble. Too much trouble.
Well, I don't see how we could have you on the show without talking about Stevie Nicks. and known each other since before she was even in Fleetwood Mac. You know,
Yeah.
you've recorded and toured together for years now. Not long ago, she put out a documentary about her solo album, In Your Dreams, for which her main collaborator was Dave Stewart from Eurythmics, but others participated as well, including yourself, Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Mick Fleetwood, even Lindsey Buckingham. I was thinking of playing one of the tracks from that album, but then I heard Songs from the Vault, and there's a track on that I knew I just had to play instead. Stevie wrote the lyrics for this one, and you and Mike Campbell collaborated on the music. It's called I Don't Care.
Oh, yeah, I don't care.
And it might be the most bipolar rock and roll song ever written by
It's an odd lyric, yeah.
you know, by virtue of the way it fluctuates between these rocked out sections where she says she doesn't care, and then these mellow acoustic sections where she says, I really do care.
I know.
And she's definitely running hot and cold on that
I
one.
know, yeah.
Yeah, the music's really great. I really loved the track the first time I heard it, everything about it. But who's the drummer on the track?
Chad Cromwell.
Yeah, not only is his playing really good, but his drums sound really good on the
Very
track.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful studio we recorded in. Dave brought us down to Nashville to do that record. He thought it would be the great place to do it as quickly as we wanted, and he was absolutely right. Well, I think we did 17 tracks in like 10 days or something like that, and the band was just fantastic. It was Chad Cromwell, Dan Dugmore, my old partner, on guitar, Tom Brukovic on the other guitar, and Michael Rhodes on the bass, fantastic. A great pianist, another Michael, I'm blanking, he's going to kill me.
Oh, Mike Campbell play on it?
Mike Campbell played on it afterwards.
Oh, okay.
He overdubbed like I did on Keith's record.
Yeah, it's a big sounding thing. It's just, I like the music. I like the contrast between the rock parts and the mellow parts. I like Stevie's vocal on it. I like her lyrics. You know, the first time I heard it, I go, oh, whatever I was thinking about earlier, no, this is the one we're going to play. Plus, you have a writing credit on it, so it had to be this one.
Yeah, I did all the stuff that ties the rock and roll parts together, all the acoustic, the Zeppelin sounding acoustic-y stuff.
So it dates back just a few years then, because Songs from the Vault, you know, I think what had happened is one of her demos from years ago had leaked onto YouTube, and everybody was passing it around.
Several of them.
Yeah, several of them. So she'd use that as inspiration to like go back and rework some of this material. Yeah. Yeah, well, I love it, man. So let's pause and listen to that from her 2014 24 Karat Gold Songs from the Vault album. Here's Stevie Nicks with I Don't Care. Well, not too long ago, Judith Owen was on the show. Among other things, we spoke about her Ebb and Flow album. That was her homage to the Laurel Canyon sound of the 70s. You played guitar on the album along with Russ Kunkel on drums and Lee Sklar on bass, so she couldn't have found a more authentic lineup to recreate the sound of that era. Leah's been working with Judith for quite a while now, but I'm guessing you and Russ also enjoyed working on her material, considering the three of you traveled to Europe for a pretty extensive tour with Judith. So what was the experience like for you as a player, and how would you characterize the audience response?
Audience response was really good. Judith is terrific on stage. Her relation to the audience is really magnetic, and she's very funny and really knows how to pace. It's like, when you first meet someone, you don't know what they're about, and I was told that, she's, I know she's married to Harry Shearer, so before I met them, I'm thinking, I wonder if this is one of those situations where, Harry wants to bankroll his wife or girlfriend, and she's not really that experienced. Judith is so unlike that, it's ridiculous. She's been banging on pianos her whole life in bars, playing for drunks.
That's how they met. That's how Harry met her. He saw her performing.
Yes, that's right. And so she's a solid player and singer and writer. She's really excellent.
I agree.
So we got on famously, and it's a lighter type of music than I'm usually involved in.
Right.
But it's very beautiful, and it let me just play lovely stuff.
I can really hear what everybody's doing. Earlier in the conversation, I commented on your skill for playing, exactly what the song needed. I'm going to play a track now from Ebb and Flow that I think demonstrates how you as a guitarist and also Lee as a bassist and also Russ as a drummer all share that ability. Of course, Judith's vocal and piano playing are the focal point of the track, but it's interesting to hear what the three of you are able to add to the track with various fills and subtle parts. I can understand why you guys like playing Judith's material so much, because it clearly has that 70s singer-songwriter feel, the lighter touch, like you said. But they're new compositions to sink your teeth into, freeze you up to do what you want. She's not covering a bunch of songs from that period. She's written songs in that style.
Exactly.
So let's give this a listen. From her 2014 Ebb and Flow CD, here's our past guest, Judith Owen, and her all-star band performing her original song, You're Not Here Anymore.
That's a beautiful song.
Here comes that day again. Here comes that day again. The day I remember, 'cause it's a cold day in December, and I'm flying home. And inside I know that you're not here anymore, and you won't come when I call your name out. And I try so hard to ignore it, but today I know it. I know it. Oh, I know it. Here comes the pain again. Here comes the pain again. And as we start to touch down, the tears fall freely on the ground, and people try to help me, but how can I explain that you're not here anymore, and you won't come when I call your name out. And I try so hard to ignore it, but today I know it. Everybody misses someone. That's just the way that life is. And everybody yearns for something. The lost love, the lost kiss. here anymore. And you won't come when I call your name out. And I try so hard to ignore it, but today I know it. Today I know it. Today I know it. Today I know it.